Greetings everyone, Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we got a really special band. Really special band that only have released 3 studio albums as of now. Long heard rumors there might be a 4th one coming at some point, but safe to say they've spaced them out pretty well. We're talking about another Swedish band, Anglagard. Anglagard. All right, here's a band that debuted back in 1992. Really interesting band that, I mean, if you love 70s symphonic, pastoral, progressive rock, that's what you get with these guys. I mean, they take, you know, their influences, wear them all over their sleeve, but throw some kind of interesting characteristics of their own here into the stew. You know, bits of King Crimson and Yes and Genesis and the U.S. Prague Act Cathedral, not to be confused with the British Doom Act. Little bits of Jethro Tull, or maybe a little, no, I don't even know. It doesn't even matter, right? I think I've said enough. Little Gentle Giant, maybe a little Griffin. Okay, this kind of like mostly instrumental. They do have one of their albums, a couple vocal tracks, but for the most part, instrumental. Loads of mellotron, loads of Hammond organ. Okay, clavinet, maybe a little bit of Moog here and there. Sorry, Moog. I always say that wrong. Rickenbacker bass, electric and acoustic guitars, flute. Really intricate drums and percussion. Just a fantastic band that really does the kind of light and shade really well, where they go to these kind of very quiet pastoral moments with like lush acoustic guitars and 12-string guitars and flute, and then they jump back in with the big Hammond organ or the big mellotron swells and the looping guitar solos and the big muscular Rickenbacker bass. Just a fantastic band that really knows how to like infiltrate their music with lots of drama, but yet lots of subtlety as well. So only 3 albums. I actually, I think I'm gonna go against my original ranking that I put down on my notes here, and I'm gonna kind of flip it around right now. I love all these 3 albums almost equally. And on any given day, I can kind of change this order a bit. I think my number 1's always going to be my favorite, but the other 2 are pretty much equal in my mind. But there are some days where I like one a little bit more than the other. So I'm actually going to go against the grain, against my original list, my original order, and I'm going to rank them a little bit differently. So again, just 3 albums. We'll talk about one of the live albums at the end. But I'm going to go with my number 3 today. Yesterday was at my number 2, but I'm going to go with Epilogue from 1994. Again, really kind of creepy, haunting album cover there, right? It's just basically a shot of the woods, but if you look really carefully, you know, you got the tree, you got the little brook or whatever here, and you know, trees and stuff. You see a face there, right? So if you look at it really quick, you say, oh, it's just kind of like a, you know, kind of black and white photo of a little forest setting. But then if you look really carefully, you got that face there. Okay, very kind of haunting. Not much here. Not much to be seen. All right, if you open up the CD, it's kind of more of the same. All right, you got these kind of you know, very stark, kind of haunting pictures throughout. And, you know, the title of the album, and again, everything here is in Swedish. All the song titles, you know, on the couple tunes that they sing on the first album, everything's in Swedish. But Epilogue meant to be final. So this actually was, in 1994, meant to be their last album. They barely on the scene like 2 years, and then, you know, boom, we're kind of done. This album is all instrumental. You have a couple of really long tracks with some smaller little musical interludes in between. You've got a couple guests who play violin, cello, viola on a couple tracks, but man, tons of just big, chilling, haunting mellotron. You got I know I'm gonna butcher these song titles, but you got Hosted. I don't know how to say it. Superb piece of work, with some incredible guitar solos and mellotron. I mean, man, just like breathtaking stuff. You got a tune called Skogskranden, which really perfects their style of kind of looping complex prog. Lots of, you know, aggressive guitar solo, and you got the big booming bass, you got the organ, flute, and mellotron all really working together. But this band was just really going to go kind of the way like Gentle Giant and Yes do those kind of really kind of I always like the term looping, because that's kind of like where the music goes. It's just like kind of flopping all over the place, but it all makes sense. What else we got here? Sista Samrar has some really just almost unsettling mellotron soundscapes. Just a really, really creepy-ass tune. And most of their songs on all their albums are like, 10, 12, 15, 17 minutes long. So they have plenty of time in each composition to really kind of create the mood, drag it out, get the listener guessing kind of where they're going to go next, so they're really kind of serene and tranquil for a little bit with like maybe the flutes and the acoustic guitars, and then boom, in comes the Hammond organ, or boom comes the mellotron, boom, in comes these lightning guitar licks and the big Rickenbacker bass. Just absolutely incredible stuff. So I really like this a lot. The reason why I moved this to my number 3 out of the number 2 slot is I think, you got the 3 big, huge pieces on here, and then, a couple little, quick little things. And to me, I think my next choice kind of works a little bit more as a whole album, and that is 2012's, yes, 2012. So we went from 1994, the band broke up after this album, after their performance at, God, what was the name of that festival again? Jesus, I'm forgetting it already. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Prague Fest? Yeah, it was at Prague Fest, right? Yeah, Prague Fest 94. So, they broke up after that. Most of, again, this is the early mid-90s, so Prague is having this renaissance, and, people were really into this band. This was like one of the big bands that were helping spearhead the return of classic-style progressive rock, and before you know it, you blink and they're gone. So, you fast forward to 2012, and here we have the release of, God, how do they say this? Viljans Oga. Okay? With much of the original band back in tow, not all of them. And again, another kind of really, their album covers are just kind of very bleak and very much, nature-oriented, sort of. So here, it's almost 20 years. Here they're back. Great stuff. You only got, I think, what was it, 4 tracks on here? Yeah, 4 tracks, 15 minutes, 12 minutes, 16 minutes, 13 minutes. So, yeah, epic is the is what we're going for here. So you got Ur Velandi is really flute-driven. Lots of mellotron and some kind of real dizzying, wispy guitar solos, plus that big, fat Rickenbacker bass, which I absolutely love. What else you got? Sorgmantel. It's got kind of moments of real pastoral, lush beauty, but also that kind of real savage, aggressive prog rock, which they're known for. Really amazing keyboard work. You got pianos, you got some synths, you got mellotron. Great song. You got Snardom, which rumbles along with some ferocious arrangements. The flute dips in and out. The guitars are stabbing in and out through a big fuzzy haze of mellotron. It's amazing. And then you got Langtans Klocka, something like that. You got some kind of medieval sounds going on in this track. All right, kind of like a cross between like classic era Griffin and Gentle Giant. Really complex, but kind of like, a mix of acoustic and electric instruments. Very complex, yet beautiful and lush at the same time. So, 4 lengthy tracks, really gorgeous stuff. And now it's been 8 years already, so it's like I know all of us are just salivating for something else. Hopefully we see it. I, was lucky enough to see these guys a couple of years prior when they got back together and they played Nearfest, the Nearfest New England Art Rock Festival in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and that was quite an experience. Quite an experience seeing these guys after so many years. So yeah, Viljans Oga from 2012 comes in at number 2. Coming in at number 1, there was really not much of a question on this one. This is an absolutely amazing album. This is a 5-star album. If I could go higher than 5, I would do that. Hybris from 1992. Again, kind of the real, the album covers are just like, they're kind of cool, but they're like really laid back and mysterious, so to speak. There's the guys, got the big mellotron there. you know, again, you got the influences of all the bands that I talked about just roaring their head on this album. You know, Crimson, yes, Genesis, Cathedral, Tull, Gentle Giant, you know, all here. Lots of that angular looping guitar stuff I was talking about all throughout this. You got Mellotron, Hammond, clavinet, flute, piano, Rickenbacker. There are some vocals on here, but you got a bunch of epic tracks full of drama, lots of beauty. You got, starts off with Jordrock. Okay, I think that's how you say it. Rich with like church organ, mellotron, flute, and all those weaving arrangements. And the mellotron just all over the place. It's just, this music takes you on a ride that is just absolutely unbelievable. That's just a classic. Jordrock is a classic Anglagard track. Go check it out if you haven't. What else we got here? Vandringar I Vilsenhet. However they say that. Pastoral, get very symphonic. Acoustic and electric guitars. Got the big bass, flute and mellotron. Swedish vocals on this one. You know, for my money, the only thing that I don't like about this album, and I shouldn't say I don't like it, but I would have just preferred these couple of songs to have no vocals, because the vocals are like fleeting. They're in Swedish, so it's not a big deal. I don't mind vocals in other languages, but I think these songs didn't really need them, right? They didn't really need them. So, but they're fine for what they are, right? What else? Lots of Hammond organ in this track as well. Then you got Ifran Klarhet Til Klarhet. All right, probably the most aggressive and complex piece on the album. Lots of, man, guitars and keyboards weaving all around each other in manic fashion, you know, complemented by, again, that lovely, silky, leathery Rickenbacker bass and lots of mellotron. You got, you know, those quirky Swedish vocals on here as well. I would say the vocals are kind of quirky, and, you know, they have a certain thing that, you know, they do stand out. But they don't rely. It's not like you have 5 minutes of vocals on this, you know, big long song at all. They just kind of come in and out occasionally. You got Kung Bor, a lot more of that really lovely flute and acoustic guitar playing together, right? And then you got a big electric guitar and keyboard swells towards the end. So very cool. And then you got a bonus track here, which is called Kanglat Fran Knatibel. Is kind of like a working demo of a tune that would show up on their second album. Features, you know, lots of complex and dramatic passages. Just, you know, really cool stuff. Just an absolutely incredible album. And quite frankly, you really cannot go wrong with any of these if you can get them. And I haven't looked in ages because obviously I already have them. I've had them forever. But I don't know how easy these are to get these days. You could probably get this pretty easily. But these, I know for a while, were very hard to find. They did reissue them at one point. But if you can get them, absolutely grab them up, gobble them up. This is just incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. In a perfect world, this band would be absolutely legendary as it is. They're, you know, kind of unknown to most people, but fantastic stuff if you love 70s style progressive rock. Amazing. And we might as well talk about the Buried Alive album. So again, this was from Progfest 1994 out in around the Los Angeles area, put on by Greg Walker of Symphonic Music. And this was supposed to be the last ever performance of the band. And it's pretty incredible stuff. You got 72 minutes of music, tracks from both albums. Sounds great live. The fact that they can recreate this stuff live on stage is amazing. You know, all the mellotrons and the Hammond and the flutes and the acoustic and electric guitars. And man, good stuff. Really good. So you got here, like I said, a good chunk of the stuff that made those albums, or at least the first two. Excellent. They've also released a couple of other live albums in more recent years, which I don't have. I probably need to check into those. But yeah, so I would say go grab these. Anglagard, a fantastic band. Hybris, number 1. Viljan's Olga, number 2. And Epilogue, number 3. But you know what? The order doesn't really matter to me because they're all three of them are just fantastic. This is more of an excuse to get you people introduced to this great band. So this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course. We're here on YouTube all the damn time. If you like what you see here, please click on over to our Ko-fi page, Ko-fi page. I keep on to say that. That's where you can go and make a donation to the channel, help us out here a little bit. We've also got linked to our merch page where you can order a t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, a sticker, a coffee mug, all that good stuff down below, as well as a link to our website. So check all that stuff out in the album description. I mean, in this video description below. Keep wanting to say album description below. It's too early in the morning, guys. Sorry. Anyway, stay tuned. Lots more good stuff coming up today. We got John Petrucci from Dream Theater coming on the show today. Carmine Appice coming on the show today. We've got a top 10 songs show of Japanese heavy metal legends Loudness, and more stuff coming up later this week over the next couple days. So stay tuned for everything. Enjoy, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.